Well, hello, everybody. It's Jesse. Jesse Seipel, Radical Metal. That's what that means. RM. Hey, so a year ago, I committed to stop drinking for 1 year. So I wanted to, I don't know, let's talk about that. It's interesting because I was watching this guy, Jesse Itzler. He was talking about some YouTube guy talking about making like a major commitment each year. So I'm going to do it for 2026 too. I don't know what that it is yet. But for 2025, I was like, a major thing, if I could quit a whole year of drinking, what that would be a challenge. Um, I've quit before. I've quit often. Usually I quit for like 80 days, and that's kind of my sweet spot. But I was like, well, I wonder if I could do a whole year. I've never gone a whole year without drinking and wanted to see what it would yield. Drinking is kind of an interesting topic. It's a little bit of a sensitive one, depending on where you fall on the spectrum. Um, my journey might be vastly different than many people's journey. I want to be kind of respectful of that, mindful of that. Um, my journey is one that I've been able to quit before, and really it was not really a big deal to quit. When I quit this time, it wasn't because of some, rock bottom event. It was everything. The bottom line up front was of why I wanted to challenge myself to do this is because, and really, maybe this actually kind of came out later, honestly, but was to while everything was going fine, it wasn't getting in the way of what I was doing, but it was getting in the way of what I wanted to do. That's the big overall theme from my experience of quitting drinking for 1 year. um it wasn't like it was getting in the way of stuff. It was getting in the except for getting in the way of what I wanted to do. What do I want to do? I want to pursue other creative things. I wanted to be play more guitar. I wasn't playing any guitar. Wanted to figure out this embroidery machine. I wanted to figure out my financial future, um, and maybe try to crack the code on retiring early. Um, I wanted to explore the inherent power that I felt was within me, um, because I was dulling that with, I think, booze. Because booze is so easy. It's kind of great in a way, where if you have a bad day and you drink this little glass of whiskey, like for me, instantly, boom, like I'm having a better day, or I'm not thinking about it. That's a pretty phenomenal power, and it's pretty amazing. And if I'll be honest too. That's one thing I miss about it. There are days where I'm like, all right, I don't need right today. I don't really feel like learning what it is I need to learn. I'd rather just take a shot of whiskey or something. But no, we didn't, which was good because that was kind of part of the challenge to when I had those days, to figure out how to dig deeper and then to understand what it is. What was it about that I was of that day that was so frustrating, and how could I employ more permanent solutions to those issues? Um, and I think I'm going into I don't know where this video is going to go, by the way, but I think I'm going into some of the lessons I learned from not drinking for a year. And that was one of them. How do I dig deeper and to come up with more permanent solutions, to things like being frustrated or when I have a bad day, as opposed to turning to something, or it's sort of the easy button. But by doing so, is doling everything else I want to focus on and apply energy to. So how do I just do it on my own? And one of the big ones, again, I don't know where this video is going, but one of the big lessons I learned, um, was kind of getting to the root of frustration and all of the bad feelings. We all have them. For me, it's less like I don't have like depression. I don't think I get that, but I get angry. I have anger issues and frustration issues. I think that's my bag. And why do I have them? I don't know. Maybe that's another video. But I don't like to feel that way. And so how do I nip that in the bud? And for me, it was like figuring out, with giving up drinking, it gives you this space where you have a space to figure it out, and you want to figure it out because whereas the drink was the easy solution before or an easy distraction, um, now I was like real curious. I was real curious about getting ahead of it. Um, making great strides with it. Like I started to really connect with myself, um, and also learn to cherish. I'll get back to the anger stuff in a minute, maybe, but I was really starting to cherish my brain. It's under here, under my hat. Really starting to cherish the organ under my hat. Um, and what that does, and to keep it clean and to cherish it for what it is, which, and then this might be a little weird, I think it's sort of like an antenna. If you listen, the band Radiohead, I think they named their band Radiohead for a reason. I feel like because they felt like they were getting the music was coming from somewhere and going through them. That's my theory. I didn't read up on Radiohead, but it's sort of a humble way to look at your own creativity, that maybe it's not you, maybe it's coming through you, or maybe your consciousness is connected to that consciousness, and we're all one, just like the Buddha says. Um, and those actually is kind of spot on to what I was feeling more of, and I didn't want to sully it. I was connecting my consciousness, my thoughts, into this greater consciousness. Whether you want to call that God or whatnot, all that connection was getting much stronger because I wasn't muddying it up with booze. I felt this is my journey. Your journey might be totally different. I think some people are way more connected than I am, and they drink like fish, and I like love them. I think more power to them. It's everybody. I think we all fall on maybe a spectrum, and I don't know why we're so worried about it. Let's just chill out on who's what on the alcohol spectrum. But for me, the alcohol it was like growing moss on the antenna that was in my head. Um, I wanted to keep that antenna sharp. I wanted to curate it, maintain it, keep its potency or in its ability to receive messages from my higher self, from this higher consciousness that I was becoming aware of, that I was a part of, that I was very special and powerful in that consciousness. Not an ego thing, but it's sort of like remembering where you came from. All that stuff, all those thoughts were getting stronger. And whereas drinking would dull that journey, and I didn't want to dull that for anything. That became very exciting for me to explore and to cultivate, and to make stronger. And I think it has been stronger. So that's what I'm focused on, and that was a great. I think it was there. It's always been there, honestly, but that's been a great byproduct of this quitting to drink for a year. Is I know I've really got a very clear view of where I want to focus. It's very exciting to me. I mean, what couldn't be more exciting than that, honestly? If you are able to come to a point where you kind of see what you're it's not like I know what my purpose is in the universe per se, but I know I'm going to get there. That's also came out of here, out of this connection, out of this opening myself up. Um and not sullying it with alcohol. And then, you see what other things that sully it too. And then I'm just going to sound like I'm getting like pretty prudish here, but even like sugar and stuff like that. Now I'm still eating sugar, but I quit for a while because I was noticing, I intuitively, I'm like, that's messing it up too, I think. And it did, and I proved it because I went off it for a couple months and felt so good, and all that stuff that I was like excited about, and now curating this antenna in my brain, it was getting mossy. Um, and so it got real clean when I quit, and then now I'm back on the sugar. And it's kind of mossy again. I kind of like that term, mossy. Um, Not as bad as drinking, but but it is. I've noticed things that get in the way of that being at full force, like sleep, getting enough sleep. That's a mind blowing action that is more powerful than I think we even think about. So all that stuff, it's like pouring in. It's like it's pouring in my brain. Um, Trusting my gut more. Um, it's really, um, there's like these certain compulsions and impulses that have it really paid dividends for me this last year because I'm trusting that stuff more. Not impulsive in the sense of, I mean, normally impulsive is associated with bad things, but it's really, let's say, operating on impulse. Um, because you're in the right place. When you're in the right place, you're in the zone, you're in the what do they call it? The flow, the vortex. Um, Understanding like what it means to be in that state of mind, and how that's like it's just amazing to be there, and then also to be able to be there and be like, oh, now I need to pay attention to my impulses. This may sound a little far out there when I'm listening to myself, maybe it does, but that's what I'm learning, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And then the other thing, and this is going to be my big misogi, my big thing that I'm focused on in 2026 is letting go of resistance. Because that's another thing, another revelation I've had in 2025. Partly, mostly due, I would say, or in great part due to not sullying my brain with booze, is the bummer of resistance. What is resistance? If you're a Taoist and all that stuff, this stuff may sound a little familiar, but resistance to me is fear, uncertainty, doubt, um, things like that I let in my brain and that mess things up. They're screwing things up. I'm letting my own fears, my own uncertainties, my own doubt, it's friction. It's sabotaging. It's all there to sabotage what's already naturally going to happen to you. You just got to go with the flow. You got to get in the vortex. You got to think positively. Um, and you got to cut out the things that are getting in the way of you understanding your higher self. I'm pointing at you, but this is my journey. This is my testimony here. Um, and to me, to get even more connected, to let the floodgates open of good fortune and vibes and love, is to let go of resistance. So, what's happening with that? I'm just noticing when I have fearful thoughts, and that's where anger comes from. So maybe we're going to bring back to anger. Anger is just fear. So when I start to fear things, and maybe I get angry because I'm scared, my radar for that is really turned on. And I'm like, drop it. Nope, not going to worry about it. One metaphor I thought of that might be good for this channel, radical metal. You ever know? I bet everybody who's listening, if all two of you, uh, when have had the feeling of it's Sunday night and you're dreading work Monday morning. You're like, oh, I gotta go back into that hell. Um, that's something I am not a stranger to. That's something I'm dropping. I'm like, and the metaphor is, I'm not going to plug into that amplifier anymore. I'm not going to plug into the dreading work, fearful amplifier. The sound that comes out of that amplifier sucks. So I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not even going to engage. I'm not going to plug it in. I'm not plugging into that amplifier. I'm going to plug in to a joyful, loving, amazing, like we're on our way or connected to our higher selves. I'm plugging into that amplifier. That one sounds pristine. That one sounds beautiful. So, obviously um, I don't catch myself every time, but most of the time I'm finding if the negative thoughts creeping in there, the fear that leads to anger, I can grab it. I can notice it. And I'm like, nope, not plugging into that amp. I'm not plugging in. Go away. And what this has kind of been towards the end of this year, where I've gotten pretty good at that, to where the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that used to really attack, I think is getting less and less. Because it's kind of like, I'm not going to say all that stuff's like entities or anything, or not, and maybe it is demonic or whatever. That's kind of weird to say that word, right? I'm not saying that, but it sort of operates like it is an entity because you ignore it and it goes away. Um, so that's where I'm at. So I knew when I took this journey, I knew I would be at this day, and I would be like it went by so fast, and it did because time goes by fast. But you go from you go from feeling pretty good because you're not drinking, so you naturally feel better anyway because you're not polluting your body with poison, which no, to each his own, but it is poison. Um, and then you get bored, and then you kind of get over being bored, but then you're kind of forced to confront some things to make you better if you choose to do so. And that's what I did, and I think it really has paid off so many dividends. So, will I go back to drinking after this challenge, after meeting the challenge? I don't think so. Um, I don't, there's some things I miss about it, but I don't know. I really associate it mostly with being lethargic and putting moss on my antenna. And so why would I do that anymore? So I'm not going to say that I'll never drink again. But I can't see where or why I would choose to, though I do think sometimes in my 80s, being rum dum on a beach sounds pretty nice. Just sort of bleh, laying, chilling out. But who knows? Right now, I think it's just there's no reason to go back to it. And for all the things that I've been mentioning. Um, so 2026, I'm all about shedding fear, uncertainty, and doubt, continuing to fine-tune those skills and connecting, strengthening the connection between this friggin' physical body and the greater consciousness that I'm a part of. Um, to do great things. I think I chose to be here on this earth. That was kind of another thing. I believe that now. I may not believe that tomorrow, but today I believe I chose to be here. And so, if I chose to be here, then I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna let booze or anything else muddy up why it is I chose to be here. I don't need to know exactly why, but I think I'm having a lot of fun figuring it out. I think that's what's kind of fun. And I didn't realize how much fun it could be, I think, until this year. So there we go. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Diwali, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, and talk to you next time. See ya.